Welcome to our Horizons Literacy film. Because you're sitting there watching today, we know you're about to embark on a Horizons summer. We hope you're excited, and the purpose for this film is to help you get ready to supersize and personalize your literacy instruction. I'm Jenny Ledger, and I've been the Executive Director of Horizons at Colorado Academy, but I wasn't always the Executive Director. 14 years ago, I was hired as the kindergarten teacher in a brand new Horizons program that our host school was just starting. Back then, there were no Horizons guidebooks, no lesson plans online, no central office to guide instruction, and certainly no spring training. As the years went by, the kids taught me much of what I know about Horizons, and that led me to realize that our Horizons kids were poor readers, hesitant speakers, shy writers, and they needed help in literacy almost more than any other one area of instruction. It was about that time that Judy joined our board, and I quickly learned so much from Judy. She began training our teachers and providing materials to help us with reading instruction. And we quickly learned that with Judy's skill-based approach, our kids could make real progress in the summer. We began assessing children with dibbles, and they suddenly began to make progress. Judy's catchy and effective techniques began to be replicated in our classrooms, and we began to see real progress with our students. It was around that time that Horizons National began their literacy initiative, and Judy volunteered her time and talents to help with that as well. Judy has been helping Horizons ever since that time, both on a local level and nationally. And it is now my great pleasure to introduce you to Horizons at Colorado Academy board member, parent of Colorado Academy graduates, former teacher, author, and now nationally renowned reading expert, Judy Dodson.
Well, today we're going to be talking about literacy, and especially literacy as it applies to our Horizons program. Our Horizons program, which is only 6 weeks long typically, and we even have less time instructionally than those 6 weeks. There are Horizons sites all over the country, and some of them are rural and some of them are urban, but they do have a common denominator. And that common denominator is that they target, for the most part, minority low-income children. In my travels across the country, I work in rural and urban areas with low-income schools, and one of the common denominators that I have found in those schools is that they all have low graduation rates. This, unfortunately, is true for our Horizons kids as well. That we are the school districts that our Horizons children come from all tend to have low graduation rates, and when we receive our Horizons children in the summer, they are behind in their reading skills. They are almost all, or let's just say the majority of them, are below grade level in their reading skills. So what we do in literacy is really important. It used to be, there was a time in our country when if you weren't a very good reader, a very good student, you could still join the military. There's research that tells us now that even to join the military, you need to have reading skills that are equivalent to taking an SAT test. So that is going to loop out many of our Horizons graduates unless we do a good job of teaching them to read and do the best we can in the summers. One of the things that I want to suggest to you is that just as we want our Horizons students to set goals for themselves in the summer, that we as teachers set careful goals in the summer, in reading, in math, in writing, and that we work relentlessly so that our children will achieve those goals that we have set for them. We have to keep our eye on the prize. There have been 40 years of research at the National Institutes of Child Health and Human Development. And the questions that they have asked in this research, which has centered completely around reading, is why are children not reading well? What interferes with that? What is getting in the way of our children's ability to read? They also ask the question, what can we do? That research has been going on for 40+ years, and we've learned quite a bit from it. 3 of the learnings that we have taken away from that research are these. Early prediction of reading is possible. When we use valid, reliable assessment, we really can catch reading failure early. Early intervention is very important and very helpful, and early intervention works best. But you know as well as I that many of our Horizons children have been failing in reading for years. So I want you to know that later intervention is still possible and still effective, but it has to be focused and targeted and very intensive. And thirdly, we have learned that reading and writing development is firmly based in oral language. And that does not just mean our second language learners. Our first language learners too, who come to us from poverty, also often have weaker language skills. And we need to make sure that we understand that the foundation of reading on the page lies in oral language skills. Today we're going to talk about the non-negotiables of reading instruction. These non-negotiables come from converging research over the last 40+ years. In other words, we're going to talk about what children need in order to read. Some of those things are the following: phonemic awareness, phonics, both basic phonics and advanced phonics skills, fluency, sight word recognition, strong oral language skills, vocabulary, background knowledge that relates to academic knowledge, metacognitive strategies that help children to adjust their comprehension and make sense of what they're reading, opportunities for meaningful practice, motivation, enough motivation to want to pursue skill development and comprehension, and engagement. We know that at Horizons we are really good at creating joy in our classrooms and in our program, but what I want to ask you to do is to create an environment that combines science and imagination. The science of reading plus joyful and motivating environments within which to read can be a powerful combination and mixture that creates achievement and motivation. Reading. Okay. Eric, go ahead. And would you put your finger under each word?
I can fit a mitt.
Very nice. Hey, Eric, can you fit in this mitt? Does it fit, or is it too big or too small?
Your finger's sticking out.
Well, he's right. That's the way you're supposed to wear a mitt like that. But do you think that one is too big, too small, or just right?
Too big.
Okay.
I have a big hand.
Let's turn the page. And do you want to call on someone else to read?
Isaac.
Okay, Isaac.
I can mix a bit.
Yeah, excellent. What does she mean? She can mix a bit? What do you think she means by that?
Like holding it, and his dad is holding it, and she's mixing it.
Yeah, she's mixing a little bit of it, part of it, yeah.
Or
Probably not the whole thing.
Or the same time we could read around. She's mixing a cookie.
She is mixing the cookie dough. Isn't that exactly what Eric said when he saw the spoon? It's like mixing cookies.
I like cookies.
I do too. Okay, on page 3, will you read for us, Annalise?
I can dig it.
Experts agree that there are 5 essential components for comprehensive reading instruction. Those components are phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. Let's start today talking about phonemic awareness. Phonemic awareness is a child's ability to reflect on sounds and to be sensitive to the sounds within words. 20 to 30% of people in our society are wired in a way that makes phonological processing a little bit weak for them. Those are people who might not remember phone numbers, might have had trouble learning their math facts, things like that. Spelling is hard. But in our struggling reader population, 80% of struggling readers appear to have weaknesses in phonological processing. So the idea of phonemic awareness is an important one for us to consider, whether a child is in kindergarten or whether they're in 8th grade and they spell the word slip, sip. So we want to make sure that we think about phonemic awareness. An example of what phonemic awareness is the following. If I say the word cat, you hear one voice impulse. But in your head, you know that there is a k, an a, and t in cat. But if I ask a child who has phonemic awareness weaknesses, what's the first sound in cat? They say cat. They heard that one voice impulse like you did, and they're having trouble segmenting the sounds. If I say, what's the last sound in cat? They say cat. And if I'm foolish enough to ask what's the middle sound in cat, they might say meow, because they have no clue what I'm talking about. The core deficit in a child with phonemic awareness weaknesses is their ability to segment, blend, and manipulate the sounds within words. Next word is cat. Here we go. Let's tap it out. Cat. Cat. Let's go on and talk about phonics now. Phonics is really what we consider the sound spelling system of our language. It is the mapping of speech to print. Phonemic awareness, we say, can be done in the dark because it's done at the oral level. But phonics, you need to turn the light on for phonics because phonics includes the letters. It's not just the sounds anymore, but it includes the letters. Some words that have that sound in it. So the first word I'm going to put up there. Now let's be quiet, and I'm going to ask one person at a time to read the word. But first, I'll read the first one. Okay, so watch me because it's my turn. So just watch while it's my turn. I'm going to touch each letter and say the sound. Here I go. I. Oh, it's my turn. Thanks, Eric. I. Fit. Okay? Now I'm going to change it, and I'm going to ask one of you to read the word. Okay, Annalise, do you want to try? Okay. Let's see. I'll touch it while you say the sounds.
It. Sit.
Perfect. Very good. Eric, are you ready to try one?
Okay.
Okay, good. Here we go.
Pick. Pick.
Excellent reading. That was awesome. Very, very nice. Okay. Isaac, it's your turn. I'm going to make another one for you. Let's see. I'm going to change things here. I think I'm going to give you kind of a hard word here. Let's see if you know.
I know that.
Do you guys know the sound that X makes?
X.
You're right. Isaac, what sound does X make? Yeah, it's two sounds together, isn't it? It's the sound k and s, and we pull them together. Here we go. Okay, let's go. Oh, it's Isaac's turn.
Mix.
Isaac, that was awesome reading. Really, really nice. Excellent. I'm going to try one other thing. Here are two S's on one tile. What do you think they say? Yeah, two S's. We don't say but we just say
Like longer.
yeah, just, oh, that's true. We continue it out of our mouth a little longer, don't we? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Let's try this one together, all of us. So, Eric, can you see from there?
Mix.
Now, is it mix or is it miss? What is it?
Mix.
What do you think? This one.
Mix and X and what's this one again?
X. You're right.
X and S are twins.
They're similar, but they're not exactly the same. What does it mean if I say, I miss someone?
I miss my dad.
Do you miss your dad? So what does that mean?
That you miss somebody, or miss something, or miss,
Yeah.
or I miss you.
Yeah. When you miss somebody, what are you feeling?
Sad. Is it like you miss something that you really love?
Yeah, you miss something you really love. You wish that that thing or that person was there. Isn't that true? There are two levels of phonics. Basic phonics, which is single word reading. That involves a child knowing their consonants, their vowels, their short vowel sounds, their long vowel sounds, digraphs, and the like. It could be a simple word like at, or it could be the word mat, or it could be a more complex one-syllable word like match or scratch. But when we talk about advanced phonics, we're talking about multisyllabic reading. And multisyllabic reading is a big part of reading from 2nd grade all the way through 12th grade. For multisyllabic reading, we talk about the 6 syllables of the English language, and we talk about morphology. Morphology involves prefixes, suffixes, and roots. They say that if we teach children the basic Latin prefixes, suffixes, and roots, it can open up 250,000 words to our children. It can also open up vocabulary for our children. Our Horizons children have weak vocabulary. So when I look at the word transporting, I know that trans means across, the root port means to carry, and the suffix ing means it's happening right now. So if I am transporting something, it means that I'm carrying something across from one place to another right now. This can, advanced phonics gives us the advantage of teaching decoding and vocabulary at the same time, and it's especially important for children who have weak vocabulary skills.
Is it like you miss something that you really love?
Yeah, you miss something you really love. You wish that that thing or that person was there. Isn't that true? When you miss someone? Is he in California? So you miss him when you don't get to see him.
To Kansas, and then he went back to California.
Okay, what does it mean if someone threw the ball to me and I missed the ball? You can miss a ball too. What does it mean? I went to catch it, but I didn't. What does that? What do we say?
I missed the ball.
Yeah, sometimes if you don't catch something or you don't get what you wanted, then you missed it. I missed the ball. So it has different ways. It has some different meanings. Yeah.
When I was in my grandpa was playing baseball. And then when he hits it harder, I'm like, I want to get it, and he missed it.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. If someone pitches the ball too hard, you might miss it. The third essential component of reading is fluency. So fluency I always think of as the bridge to comprehension, but fluency is the most misconstrued concept in literacy, I believe. People think that fluency means to read fast, but in truth, the definition of fluency is not fast reading. It's the ability to read accurately, with expression, at a minimum rate so that you can comprehend. Our working memory can't hold within its capacity, what we read at the beginning of a passage all the way at the end if we're reading very slowly. So we want children to become fluent readers so that they can process in their working memory and comprehend quickly enough. And if they're reading too slowly, this just doesn't happen. We need to develop a level of automaticity at the sound level, at the word level, at the letter level first, then the word level with our sight words. We need to develop automaticity at the phrase level, the sentence level, and ultimately we want children to read fluently and automatically even at the passage level. But this learning is learned bit by bit, starting in kindergarten with sounds and letters, making sure that a child doesn't just know them slowly, but really gets them automatically. When a child understands and can read automatically, there's more space in their brain so that to pay attention to vocabulary and comprehension. And we don't read in order to read automatically, we read in order to comprehend. But if we don't read pretty automatically, there's no space in our brain for comprehension. The next two components of reading are vocabulary and comprehension, but I'm going to talk about vocabulary, oral language, and comprehension as an interconnected grouping because they work together. Understanding words and the way they work opens up concepts and develops and deepens comprehension for us. A good friend of mine, Susan Ebers, said that there's a world of concepts inside every word. I want to give you an example of the word run for that. Run is just a little baby word. It's a kindergarten word, CVC, run, so easy. But when you think about the nuances in the word run, they're pretty significant. You can run a race. A machine runs. You run for office. We have water runoff. You have an election that's a runoff. You can have a run-in with someone, and of course, you may have once experienced having the runs. So the word run has many, many concepts, and we can actually teach background knowledge as we teach that world of concepts that lives within that little world, that little word run. An important thing for us to remember in Horizons is that there's research that tells us that at a 4th grade level, 59% of the variance in comprehension was accounted for by vocabulary. When we think about what we usually learn as comprehension strategies, they include things like prediction, main idea, connecting with text, questioning the author, things like that. And vocabulary instruction is often put to the side, and we do a few words with each novel we read or with each little story that we're reading. And I want to suggest to you in your Horizons summer program that we put vocabulary on our radar screen big time and give it 59% of your comprehension instruction. Understand and remind yourself that there is a world of concepts in every word. Oh, I have one other thing that's kind of fun.
What? Pan.
Is this a pan?
No.
What is it? What part of a pan is it?
It's at the top when it gets bubbly.
When you cook something, when it's bubbling.
Yeah.
Isaac, this is called a lid. It is a top to the pan, but it has a special name, and we call it the lid, okay? So we'll put it up here.
Like a lid on a jelly, like 2 jelly ranchers.
Like the cover on a jelly, you like the wrapper? Yep, it's kind of like a wrapper, isn't it? And the more meaningful practice we get, the more skilled we get, and the more skill we get, the more motivated we are to do whatever the activity is, and in this case it's reading, more and more. So I want to reframe drill and kill into drill and skill, and I want you to think of it as the gift of repetition. Not repetition that will kill motivation, but repetition that will enhance skill and then enhance motivation. I want you to think about, again, the powerful combination that we can build for our children of science and imagination. When we combine things like direct instruction, opportunities for meaningful practice, motivating topics to be learning about, and joy in the classroom, joyful activities that we're using for our practice, I think what we can do is light in our children their own desire to have the motivation they need to pursue the skills they need to become fluent readers. We cannot change the instruction that our children get in their home schools. although I certainly wish we could sometimes. But what we can do is we can create, during our summer programs, a belief in our children that they themselves are scholars. We can help them see themselves as scholars who love to learn. An example of this is something I observed once when I was watching a really masterful teacher, and she was working on vocabulary words with students, and she asked them to lean in to their partner across the way from them at their table and tell them what their connection was with a particular vocabulary word. So they did that, and she said, now speak really softly and just whisper it to your partner. And when they were done, she told them, do you know what, boys and girls? You are acting just like college students, because when college students are studying in the library, that's what they do. They just lean in to their table mate to say something because they don't want to disturb anybody. And then, from then on, every time she asked kids to do any partnering, she just asked them to act like college students. This isn't just a cute thing to do with kids, but what this really can do for our children is to help them build a mental model of themselves as college students. And that's what we want for our Horizons children, isn't it? We want them to have that option. We want them to have that image of themselves that someday, if they so choose, they can go to college too. So our responsibility as Horizons teachers goes far beyond special summer activities. Our responsibility, our privilege, and our honor as Horizons teachers is to build in our children, to create a belief for them that each student has their own special gift. And that special gift is something that they can bring to the world. And the responsibility of our Horizons students is to discover their gift and then to share it with the world. Your gift as a Horizons teacher is to share with your students how they can learn well, how they can learn to love learning, and how they can believe in themselves and their own special gifts. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful Horizons summer, and especially with your literacy instruction.